Hey, what's up, everyone? Vito Lasprugato here, certified nutritionist, fasting specialist, and exercise specialist. Today, I'm going to talk about the rising cases of liver disease, especially fatty liver disease. It's estimated about 20 to 25% of Americans are being diagnosed with fatty liver disease. And this includes not just overweight, or diabetics, also people who are adequate weight as well. And there's so many studies relating to potential causes. I have seen it and assessed it in with a lot of my clients over the last 15 years. That start working with me. But when it comes down to the overall understanding of what is causing this, I believe, in theory, that there's so many factors to consider, including genetics, health status, health history, age, gender, overall diet, lack of nutrient deficiencies, any underlying autoimmune issues. But there's so many ways to assess, and I think that's really really important because when most of these studies are done, they're focused on isolating a particular cause and confirming if that cause, or more so the remedy for that problem, can help resolve the issue at hand with the fatty liver. But many things I think need to be taken into consideration. So I wanted to talk to you about, from my experience and research, the overall impact of nutrition, and as well as fasting, and how that can support adequate and optimal liver function. The liver is a focal point in my program, and it's a focal point because it's a very important organ and gland. So it's meant to filter everything that we basically consume. It's meant to filter fat and synthesize energy from it as well. It regulates hormone control, so it has all these important functions for the body, and which is why it's a focal point in all my custom program designs for every individual. So I'm going to get into some of these studies and so forth. But first, I wanted to pull up this image here to kind of give you like a general overview. So here we have, yeah, healthy liver and a fatty liver, right? So when we're looking at the healthy liver, and this is literally what it would look like if you were to open up a body and look at these livers, as well. They would look like these colors, and this is exactly what is happening inside the liver. So like a healthy liver, we're seeing all this tissue space, right? We're seeing all this tissue space in between what are these blue spots, red spots, which represent nutrient storage. So the liver is meant to store A, D, E, K, and B12, and release it throughout the body as necessary for performing the biological functions of the body and the systems that require them. The liver also is responsible for synthesizing and converting, like for instance, vitamin D into its usable bioavailable form. So this is what we want to see in a healthy liver. Therefore, all the rest of this tissue is able to break down and filter everything we're consuming. Okay, every beverage, every food, glucose, etc. Right? Now, here we have a fatty liver. This is when the liver becomes overburdened, so to speak. And it could become overburdened for many reasons. Alcohol, too much alcohol, or even little alcohol is what I've seen can really affect the liver and cause a fatty liver, and which then can lead to cirrhosis, which is what we really want to watch out for. But overall, too much sugar has been shown as to be the number one cause, right? And this could also be too much fructose as well. So our bodies are meant to metabolize glucose at a certain level, right? And then any excess glucose has to be stored, and it's going to be stored in fat and adipose, right? So the liver is one of those areas, right, that it will store. So if it becomes too excessive, then the liver is producing fat cells to store this excess as well. So that is something we definitely don't want. Now, I'm going to pull up, give me a second here. Now, here we have a very reputable study on vitamin D deficiency and liver disease. You heard me talking about liver and how it stores vitamin D. And I just want to give you a brief overview of how important this is. So, this highlighted area that I'm highlighting here now, vitamin D deficiency is extremely common in our patient population. We conducted a study of 118 patients with liver disease. So that could be fatty liver, et cetera, and a total of 109 of them. So 92% of these people, these patients, had some degree of vitamin D deficiency. It's just astounding that's occurring at that rate. This finding is also reflected in other reports. The deficiency was seen even with patients without liver failure. So though the severity of deficiency expressed as very low levels of vitamin D was more common in patients with cirrhosis of the liver, for instance. So I just wanted to point out how the liver can be so impacted that it will affect something as important as a fat soluble hormone vitamin like vitamin D, which, if you're not aware, has so many myriad of responsibilities for running many systems of the body. So important. Immune function, metabolic, fat metabolism, brain support, anxiety support, depression support, the HPA axis, gut support, so many factors. I want to pull up one more thing here. All right. So now what we have here is, give me a second. Make sure I got the right one. Yeah. Okay. All right. So this was a published study, another published study in the Nutrients MDPI published journal online, October of 2019, effects of periodic fasting. Now, a lot of people are familiar with intermittent fasting, which is a daily, for the most part, a daily practice of fasting on a certain schedule. And in my program, I always assess the individual because every person needs to be customized when it comes to a fasting protocol. It's how the bodies are built, especially with genetics and age and gender again. But this one is periodic fasting. If you're unfamiliar with periodic fasting, this is more than 2 days. 2 days or more is considered periodic fasting. So I wanted to show you the effects of this study and how profound it is on something like the liver, right? Because most people, I just came across an individual reached out to me and said, he's adequate weight. He's healthy, mid 30s, late 30s. And he was diagnosed with a slightly fatty liver. And this is very, very common, and, there's many, many things, again, that can contribute to that. But I want to give you a brief overview of a study that shows that fasting and how important it is can really, really help the body and help reset the body. And we know with fasting that autophagy kicks in, and that's the reprogramming of the cells. It will take all the healthy parts of the cell. If the cell's about to be, if it's about to die, basically, it will take the healthy parts and recycle them and make new living cells. And it could turn into a liver cell, for instance, right? And we have new healthy liver tissue. So the introduction here, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, right, is considered one of the most relevant causes of chronic liver disorders and consists of a disease spectrum, including fatty liver, non-alcoholic steatohepatitis, fibrosis, and liver cirrhosis. The least advanced stage of the disease is the non-alcoholic fatty liver, right? And it's characterized by excess of fat in the liver and is mostly asymptomatic. You notice how it says it's mostly asymptomatic. And I think that really depends on the level of the fatty liver. If you're just in the beginning stages, you probably won't get symptoms. If you start to get into deeper levels of the fatty liver, people start to get the achy on the right side, around the rib area, poor digestion, fatigue throughout the day, lots of symptoms. The median prevalence of the non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is about 20%, ranging from 6% to 33% in industrialized countries. So this country is about 25%. American country is about 25% of everyone, millions of people with fatty liver disease. Most people don't know it. The burden of disease is rapidly increasing, mainly due to the rising prevalence of obesity and sedentary lifestyle. So it's not just people who are overweight. That sedentary lifestyle has been shown to or be proven to show that it can affect the liver as well. Hence why exercise is just such a great thing for the whole body, including the liver. Considering that as many as 50% of patients with simple steatosis proceed to develop a non-alcoholic steatohepatitis as well. And then up here, this is the basic conclusion. The abstract is usually the conclusion of this type of study. So this prospective observational trial investigated effects and safety of periodic fasting in subjects with and without type 2 diabetes. So those with diabetes and those without, right? So we may even have some healthy looking individuals as well. The primary endpoint was set as the change of fatty liver index, or FLI, as a surrogate parameter of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. 697 subjects were enrolled. That's a lot of people for a study. Baseline of greater than 60 fatty liver index was found in 264 subjects, so about 38%. The mean duration of fasting was 8.5 plus minus 4.0 days. Fatty liver index decreased significantly with a larger effect in individuals with the type 2 diabetes, but they noticed it on both sides, those without diabetes, those with diabetes. Body mass index, BMI, decreased by minus 1.51, and 49.9% of the subjects lost more than 5% body weight. After fasting, nearly half of the 264 subjects with the fatty liver index greater than 60 shifted to a lower category. The improvement of the fatty liver index correlated with the number of fasting days as well. Makes sense, right? So if fasting can excel the autophagy and help repair the liver, it makes sense that if we continue the process of this, then we will get to the ultimate goal of reversing it completely. So there's no detection as well. Let's see, where was the improvement of fatty liver index correlate with the number of fasting days and with the magnitude of BMI reduction, which makes sense. As the weight decreases, if you're overweight, less stress on the body, the liver is able to withstand the filtration process more. Periodic fasting with concomitant weight reduction leads to significant rapid improvement of fatty liver index in subjects with and without type 2 diabetes. Such a fascinating study. So one of the premises behind focusing on the liver itself, again, is to assure that our overall foundational support is there first and foremost, and that includes our overall diet, nutrition, making sure that we have those micronutrients completely in check, the variety and the amounts that we need, and also then making sure we don't have the triggers, right? So in my 6-step methodology process, stressor molecule elimination is a big one, right? So I assess the individual, and everyone has different triggers for their body, especially with autoimmune disease. 1 in 5 Americans have autoimmune. Most of us don't know it, and therefore there are certain triggers, and these triggers will create these chemical reactions that will also affect the liver. So we have to take into consideration all these mechanisms and stressor molecules that are potentially contributing to the liver disease as well. So that concludes today. I wanted to share with you this newfound study and studies that are being done relating to fatty liver disease, how it's affecting people, and in the end, I do think it's a primary focus of my program, because when I started really focusing it on individuals about 10 years ago, I noticed, and as a certified herbalist as well, use certain extractives to help with that liver detoxing effect as well, to help remove those fatty deposits and so forth. I noticed that people would suddenly start feeling better, significantly better, better sorts of energy, better digestion, less abdominal retention, all sorts of things. So better skin, that's a big one. And so I really started focusing on it. And now we have so many environmental toxins and stressor molecules come from the environment that's really hard to kind of control. So the dietary control, I think, is huge, but something as simple as fasting and getting on the right safe, effective fasting program can consistently help reset, reprogram, and rejuvenate is the main word. The process of what the liver is, should be, and the health of it, and how that correlates to overall health. Comment below. Let me know what your thoughts are. Any questions? You can always directly reach me via message, email, which is all on my website, vitoswellness.com. And be well. And if you're not well, get well. All right. Take care. Bye.